Think about the car you see every day on the street. It feels normal, obvious, like it was always there. But it wasn't. 4,000 years ago, humans strapped wooden wheels to a platform and let a horse do the work. That was it. That was the pinnacle of transportation. For centuries. Then came steam. Massive, roaring engines that burned coal and moved mountains. Trains crossed continents. Ships crossed oceans. The world got smaller, but it was still loud, still dirty, still burning something to move. Then, the internal combustion engine. Gasoline, exhaust, the car as we know it. For over 100 years, we filled tanks with fossil fuels and called it progress. And now, electric cars, silent, clean, charged overnight. No fuel, no exhaust, just electricity. We act like this is the future, like we finally figured it out. But what if electricity isn't the future at all? What if it's something much, much older than we think? Most of us learned the same story in school. Electricity was discovered in the 1700s. Scientists ran experiments. Franklin flew a kite in a thunderstorm. Volta built the first battery in 1800. Edison lit up the world in 1879. Progress, innovation, human genius. The story of how we went from candles to light bulbs in just a few generations. And it's a great story. It really is. But here's the thing about great stories. Sometimes they leave things out. Alessandro Volta built his battery in 1800, and the world changed overnight. Suddenly we could store electricity. Move it. Use it on demand. Everyone agreed. This was new. This was revolutionary. This had never been done before. Everyone agreed. Except 138 years later, an archaeologist digging through a museum storage room in Baghdad found something that made him stop completely. Something that shouldn't have existed. Something that looked very, very familiar. It's 1938. The world is on the edge of another war. Europe is holding its breath. And in Baghdad, a German archaeologist named Wilhelm König is going through a collection of artifacts sitting in storage, largely ignored for years. Most of it is routine. Pottery shards, coins, fragments of everyday ancient life. And then he picks up a clay pot, about 5 inches tall, reddish-brown, ordinary looking. But something about it stops him. Inside the pot, a copper cylinder, sealed with asphalt at the top and bottom. And running through the center of that cylinder, an iron rod. König stares at it, because he's seen this configuration before. Not in an ancient text, in a laboratory. The object in his hands is approximately 2,000 years old. It dates to somewhere between 250 BC and 224 AD. It was found near Baghdad, ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. And it is, without any question, a battery. Okay, so let's talk about what this thing actually does. Because this is where it gets genuinely hard to explain away. The Baghdad Battery, as it came to be called, is elegantly simple. Clay pot, copper cylinder, iron rod. That's it. When researchers in the 1930s filled a replica with an acidic liquid, vinegar, lemon juice, or grape juice, any of the things readily available in ancient Mesopotamia, it generated electricity, between 1.5 and 2 volts. Not a lot, but enough. Enough to electroplate metal, to coat one metal with a thin layer of another, using electric current. Researchers have found ancient gold and silver-plated objects in the region that show exactly this kind of ultra-thin, ultra-even coating, the kind that's almost impossible to achieve any other way. In 1978, Egyptologist Arne Egebrecht used a replica Baghdad battery to electroplate a small silver statuette. It worked perfectly. So we have an ancient object that generates electricity, found in a region where ancient electroplated artifacts exist. And we have no idea who made it, why they made it, or how they knew to make it, none. So who built the Baghdad Battery, and why? Nobody agrees. But here are the leading theories. The most accepted explanation is electroplating. Ancient craftsmen used it to coat cheap metals with gold or silver, making objects look far more valuable than they were. Ancient bling, essentially. And there's real archaeological evidence to support this. The second theory is more interesting. Some researchers believe the batteries were used in religious rituals. Imagine a priest placing a metal idol in a sacred liquid, and the object begins to glow with a faint electric charge. To ancient worshippers who had never seen electricity, That would look like a miracle, like the gods themselves were speaking. The third theory, and this is the one that keeps people up at night, suggests we're looking at the tip of something much larger, that ancient Mesopotamia had a level of technological knowledge we've completely lost. That somewhere between 250 BC and today, an entire branch of human understanding just disappeared. And here's what makes all of this so unsettling. We found one, in a storage room, almost by accident. What else is sitting in storage rooms around the world, labeled, filed, and completely misunderstood? Here's where we are today. Right now, satellites orbiting Earth are powered entirely by solar panels, converting sunlight directly into electricity. Space stations run on it. Mars rovers run on it. The next generation of deep space missions will run on it. We're taking the energy of the sun and turning it into power, anywhere, even in the vacuum of space. It's extraordinary, it really is. But I keep coming back to that clay pot in Baghdad. 2,000 years ago, someone figured out how to store and use electrical energy with materials they found in the ground. With knowledge we can't trace to any teacher, any text, any tradition we know of. They just knew. And then that knowledge disappeared. For 2,000 years, until a German archaeologist almost walked past it in a storage room. We talk about electrifying our cars, our cities, our future, like it's the most revolutionary idea humanity has ever had. And maybe it is. Or maybe we're not inventing something new at all. Maybe we're remembering something ancient. Something we once knew, lost, and are only now beginning to find again. The Baghdad Battery is sitting in the Iraq Museum in Baghdad right now. You can go see it. A 2,000-year-old battery, in a world powered by electricity, and we still don't know who made it. If that doesn't make you question everything, I don't know what will. Subscribe, there are more stories like this, and they go even deeper.